So yes, for most of my life, I'll say I struggled with my masculinity, despite the fact that I had a father in my life, a mother in my life. But still, I'll say my father never sat me down to explain that, oh, son, these are the things that make you a man. These are the things that make you mentally tough. So guess what? I had to figure it out along the way, right? I made mistakes, right? I've done stupid things. I have done every single thing I have in this list that makes you mentally weak. So when I speak from experience, right? So there are basically 7 tips I'll give to you today, right? That will help you boost your mental strength. And this is not a bullshit guide. Yeah? This is actual stuff, right? That some mental shifts you have to make in yourself if you want to become mentally tough. Number one, right? Have the idea that nobody owes you anything in this life, right? I grew up with like upper middle class parents, and one thing that one of my uncles he made a statement talking about how we keep having a lot of rich people in different families. The family goes broke, and before you know, the kids get wrecked. And it made me realize that whatever my father had does not belong to me, right? And then inheritance itself could be a very massive distraction if you think about it. In life, if you think because you're born into a rich family or because you're born into a good government, you feel people owe you stuff, but nobody owes you jack shit. Right? Even if people are giving you things for free, eventually it means that those people control you. Those people dictate where your life is going towards. And when you begin to accept this idea that nobody owes you anything, the magic it does is you begin to act with wisdom. You begin to think about what you're doing right before you do them, right? Again, you stop relying on people because again, if you rely on people, those people they control you, right? The third tip is the second tip rather is be comfortable being alone as a man, right? Because whether I like it or not, we grew up in this world where we're always told to be with people. Mind you, I was the middle child. So being the middle child means that I am the firstborn got the attention, the first set of kids got the attention, the lastborn got the remaining attention, and I was left with nobody. Nobody to basically care for me. And I don't look back and say, oh, I feel very bitter about my life. No, right? Again, this was part of the things that forced me to become mentally tough. So being comfortable alone is you got to realize that when you are comfortable alone, right, you can think for yourself. You can think clearly. Now, being alone does not mean that you don't have friends. What that means is you can literally stay on your own, think for yourself, and you don't always need people to be around you. Because think about it. If you always need people in your life, it means that you're not free as a person. You're not free from other people's opinions. You're not free from what do you call it, from addictions. You're not free from music. Just once in a while, go out there, touch grass. Just be by yourself, right? Because, like I've said over and over again, you notice that for some weird reason, society has conditioned us to always be around people. Because the more you are around people, the more people do your thinking for you. But they can say, you know what? Let me stay by myself. Let me think by myself. Automatically, you begin to realize that some things are not exactly the way they are, right? So as a man, you need that time to be by yourself. Because think about it. You should become your own best friend. That is when you are by your own, you begin to answer questions like, what am I born for, right? What is my life purpose? Why am I here? But guess what? You really cannot answer those questions when you are always hanging around people. When you always need people to be around you 24/7. You always need something to stimulate you every single day. 3, move from your past. Don't let your past define you because to be very, very honest, that statement of me being a middle child is very powerful because I have met people who are literally, they are loners simply because they too were born as middle child. And recently, I keep saying this thing because I came across a post I came across that statement from a friend who said, oh, his sister has middle child syndrome. I'm like, what is middle child syndrome, right? And just basically explain how the first set of kids have the attention, the last ones have more attention, but the middle child is left to fend for himself. And guess what? Some middle child some become independent. At the same time, some become depressed, lonely, and think about it, right? Looking at it, I come to realize that it's not about what happened to you in the past, but about how you see it, right? Because trauma and training, literally, they are different sides of the same fucking coin as a man. So if you begin to realize that, okay, fine, I was alone when I was growing up, right? Nobody was there for me. Nobody really helped me when I was feeling down. You begin to realize that, okay, fine. You begin to realize how can I pick myself up, right? And that's been one of my greatest strengths when people are not there to pick me up and I can pick myself up. That itself builds a kind of self-reliance. That itself makes me feel confident in myself. So I want you to stop playing the victim, right? Whatever happened in your past, that is the past. Like your past actions or past choices, they led you to where you are right now. I want you to begin to reframe your mind to realize that, wait, you can literally make a different set of decisions right now, right? So again, if you look at your past, right, even if you're the kind of person, because I keep talking to guys and I keep hearing this whole my childhood, bro, you need to move past your childhood, right? And one way you move past your childhood is if you have goals, if you have ambitions that you are actively working towards. When you have an ambition, you have a goal, guess what? It's just easy for you to walk away and walk in a direction, forget your past, right? Because if you're somebody who always thinks about the past, you lead me to the number 4 rule or tip you need, which is stop caring less about what other people think. Remember when I said you need time to be alone, right? And then you need to care, you need to what do you call it? You need to move from the past. These 2 laws will help you when it comes to thinking about what other people think about you, right? Because it's something that holds most people back, and it did hold me back even when it comes to creating content. Right? Sometimes I ask myself, what will people think about me, right? Even to the point where I had to even block family members from what view my content. At some point, I said, you know what, fuck it. This is me. Whether I like me or not, I'm going to do it. And that mindset has completely changed my life because before I used to hold myself back in my content. Right? I barely talk about my stories, talk about my wins, but I've come to realize that nobody is really thinking about you that much. Like everybody is so stuck in their head. Everybody is so stuck in their own drama that even if they see your video, right? They see your video and they move past it. Now think about it. Think about the most embarrassing moment you experience somebody else live. Ask yourself, how often do you think about it? Not so much, right? What that means is people are not really thinking about you as much as you think. That's one. I'm giving more reasons why you should not care about people's opinion. 1, 2. People are not the ones that will live your life for you. And what I tell myself, just to keep myself feel good, is so far I know why I am doing what I am doing. Fuck other people's opinions, right? So far, if you have a very strong why, right? Because again, so far you know deep down that you are not doing anything that is degenerative, right? For example, is personally, right? I really don't believe in what they call it, anything that maybe some con sites. I don't believe in acting con. That one itself is degenerative, but that's their opinion, that's their reason. And that thinking has made me realize that every human being, that even though you're doing something degenerative, bro, you will reap what you sow, right? So that thinking has made me realize that so far I know the good that I am doing. I can see the good I am doing, and that's enough. I really don't have to care about what people think about the good that I do. So number 5 that has helped me in my life when it comes to building mental toughness is doing things that are hard. You see, the more difficult things you can do as a man, the more confident you feel about yourself, right? Because I grew up in a life of comfort, right? And I had to realize that no, that life leads nowhere, right? So this is not me coming from somewhere that I claim to be traumatized. Is that no, right? I came from a place of comfort, and I had to realize that no, that this shit is not building anything confident. That's why if you're someone who's lacking confidence, start by doing things that are difficult, because things that are difficult, they lead you to competency, right? When we become competent, automatically confidence shows up, right? That is a no BS guide, right? But on the other hand, right, when it comes to doing difficult things, doing difficult things actually makes life easier, like ironically, right? Because one thing I've come to realize is, for every difficult thing I skill, when I look back at it, it's almost like they were really not a big deal, right? Almost all problems, if you come to realize it, they're all in the mind, like literally speaking. This is why building mental toughness is a must. Even doing hard things also builds what? Physical toughness. So go to the gym, right? Go and learn how to fight. Always put yourself in that uncomfortable situation. And one thing I do is that every single year, I ask myself, what can I do? What can I add into my life that has some kind of difficulty, right? And to be very, very frank, it's been very, very interesting, right? Whether it's swimming, whether it's martial arts, whether it's boxing. By next year, I'll begin wrestling, right? Again, something difficult, right? Again, do something difficult, live to it. But the bottom line is that as a man, I remember this thing when I made a statement talking to some guys on my live, right? I said, the more difficult things you can do as a man, the more you are more perceived to be a man. Some guy tried to argue, but at the end of the day, he felt very stupid, right? Because that difficult life makes people respect you. That suffering you go through makes people respect you. And the more difficult things you do, the more calm you stay under pressure, right? Right, and which goes to the next rule, which is number 6. You begin to stay calm under pressure because in life, shit will always happen, right? But your ability to stay calm is very, very important. This is where even emotional control, this is where emotional control comes in. Where you know that you have done so much difficult things that you know that nothing here is difficult. I can kid you not. See, to me, I strongly believe that I have built my mental toughness to the point where I know that nothing is so difficult. It's always in the mind. Think about it. Think about anything you thought was very difficult. At some point, you overcame it, right? So if you get to realize that making it very intentional of doing difficult things keeps you calm under pressure, because I tell people this, right? When people say, oh, I'm very smart, I'm like, smart people don't always get the right answers. Hear me out. So when someone says you're smart, it may sound like a compliment, but for somebody who they claim is smart, which is me, one thing I've come to realize that I've been stuck for so many places in so many areas of my life where I overthink things, right? So now this is the solution for somebody who is overthinking because you're smart, right? Have somebody around you who you are smarter than and ask them what they would do if they were in that position. Trust me, what they end up doing is they'll give you a simple, dumb solution. Think about that solution. Don't think about the bad side of it and act on it. Trust me, at some point, you will get there. Right. I remember making videos, right? I used to stammer, I used to have a full-on script. But these days, when I feel well that I am speaking from my experience, it's never been so easy for me to speak in front of the camera, right? Either I'm speaking live or I'm speaking pre-recorded like a class like this. So your ability to stay calm under pressure will make you mentally tough and will make people respect you. See, I want you to become that guy. Become that guy who people look up to when shit hits the fan. Become that guy that people will look up to it when things go bad, when things go south. And trust me, over time, I became that guy, right? I remember when I went from being that timid, shy guy, right? Nobody even respects me, to becoming that guy that I personally, that people just want to be around me simply because I get things done. When there's pressure, when there's chaos, I am that guy. In my final year, yes, in my university days, right? Towards the end, whenever I worked in teams, I was always the guy people were coming to. And I don't say these things to brag, right? I basically tell you that you yourself, you can become mentally tough, because I'm tired of seeing guys I'm working with say things like, oh, that's the way I am. Bro, fuck you. What do you mean that's the way you are, right? As a man, the beautiful thing about a man is you are built to level up, right? That's why every single point I'm giving to you here is something that I have practiced in my life and I still practice till today. Now, to become mentally tough, the last point, which is super important, is stop comparing yourself to other men. Or let me rephrase that, right? When it comes to comparing yourself with other men, there are things that you can do if you ever catch yourself comparing yourself with other people. And this is what I have been doing that has made me not fall into this ground of envy, but realize something. This is it, and hear me out. This is my thinking, right? When you scroll through social media, when you see other people who are probably your age mates or younger than you making more money than you, instead of feeling jealous, ask yourself these few questions. Like, one, is that guy heading where I'm heading to? No, mind you, I'm not giving a formula for feeling good about yourself if you're losing your life. No, this is not it. This is you. You're going to use it to. You're going to use that comparison to win in life, right? Where you ask yourself, one, what is that guy heading to where I'm heading to in life? Answer is most likely going to be no, right? If you know where you're heading to. But if it is yes, okay, fine. What is he doing in his life to make him win, right? Because again, when you become envious, all you are seeing is just the result. You're not really looking at the hard work, the action. Because sometimes when I look at some people in their 20s, right, who are balling hard, some of them are doing something that's sketchy, something that goes against my morals and values. Why those who I see who are winning? These are the guys in their 20s, by the way. These are the guys who I am taking lessons from, right? So this is it. If you know what the person is doing, ask yourself, can you do that thing? If you can do it, good for you, right? You can see how you can, if you ever see yourself comparing yourself to other people, instead of feeling bad, learn from them, right? I won't tell you never compare yourself, because to a great extent, there's a high chance if you're watching this video, you're an average guy right now, and if an average guy your life probably doesn't have like a direction yet. So when you see somebody, right, ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? If you know what you can learn from them, then trust me, automatically, right, it becomes easier for you to, okay, you know what, this guy is into this business, right? Because for years, I've been thinking of starting a masculinity coaching for younger men, right? Because at some point, I was lost in my masculinity thoughts, thanks to propaganda, feminism, and all that. I've been thinking for years, but seeing how people have come about, how their message has reached so many young men, has impacted so many lives, to me, it makes a lot of sense to also do that. So, like I said, if you see yourself comparing yourself to other people, right, what you do is ask yourself, where is this guy heading to in life? Am I going there? Right? What can I learn from this person? Right? And if you know what you can learn, trust me, automatically the what you call it, the comparison kind of dies because you now know what to do, right? Again, you have to be realistic. You need to have the right mindset because I see a lot of guys that I'm talking to, right? They say, okay, you know what? I saw this somebody. I saw that he got into remote sales. Yes, he got into remote sales. But how long did he spend in remote sales? Okay, 3 months. He made calls. He made about maybe 40, 50 calls for 3 months before he began to see success. Now, that's being realistic. Can you do that? So many of them can't do that, right? Again, every single business route, every single way of making money has its pros and its cons. I always tell you, look at the pain involved. For me, when it comes to growing an audience, I know fully well that it's painful, it takes time, but it's a matter of time before I get there. So, brother, I basically told you the seven tips for you to become mentally tough as a man in today's world. Like, by the way, quick question, right? Is there anything you've heard about building mental strength that you feel like I missed out? If there's anything, please let me know in the comment section. Talk to you soon, and bye for now, brother.